ground. An arrow through her, a crossbow bolt through her throat. Dark blood seeping into the earth from which she just raised a zombie horde. And across the way, amid scattered bodies of several keepers of the feather, also lies Erwin. A raven swoops down, transforming in midair, and as she lands, already sprinting, Danica tears across the field. Erwin! Dimitri also approaches, and they both close in on Erwin. Both of them falling to their knees on either side of him. And for just a moment, just half of a breath, though it feels maybe like a whole lifetime, they just look at each other. The first time they have seen each other in 10 years. And for half a breath, they just stare into each other's eyes. And then both of them immediately start attending to Erwin, without a word shared between the two. What would you all like to do?
Callister's gonna drop down, and as he's like dropping down, he's pulling out the healing potion, and he's running over it, and he's gonna give it to Danica, and he's gonna say, I don't know what state he's in, but I was saving this for myself, but please.
It's his own brew. If it doesn't work on him, I don't know who else it will work on.
She takes it. Anything else?
I'm on teeth right now.
Yes.
I think I see you come down, and I see everybody land, and I kind of like, yeah, teeth. And as I do that, I just kind of like, at this point, everything has been so confusing, I just kind of hit the symbol of the Way Warden, and dust poofs out of it, and it starts swirling around as we go, and I'm in a balm of peace. Starts as we're on the way over, and I hope I can just get like everybody, like Teef, Kaz, Callister, and then land over there, hop off of Teef, and stand next to Danica without interrupting this moment, but I just kind of like...
Letting the dust waft over. Okay. Anybody else?
So I'm like on the second floor balcony, so I'm just gonna jump off and sprint towards the sea.
Okay, give me a acrobatics check too.
Come on.
First roll of the day.
This is one of those ones where it's just to see if it's disastrous.
Yeah, that's an 18.
Okay, yeah. You deftly land and do like a combat roll out of it, picking right up back with the run as you come back to your feet and you make your way over.
Does Drogar see that?
Artemis coming down? Yeah.
So Drogar sees that, and then he looks around at the guards, and they're like, just like fucking shocked. And he looks at Vulnerability and Pasha, and he goes, Vulnerability, it seems my assistance is needed outside. Would you tend to the boy and the guards, please?
Let us course do what must be done.
Thank you. Oh! And make sure that wretch stays in his room upstairs, yes?
I doubt he would have the courage to come out in any event.
He turns around, and you notice that Drogar's limping. He's kind of like hobbling down.
That was rough. I imagined all of you were, with maybe possible exception of Artemis, because you were just you stayed pretty far from the action. I think all of you are bruised and bleeding, and you know, there's torn clothes and open gashes.
I smell like a graveyard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you smell like a corpse from Callister. I think all of you, because between, and especially you, Callister, because between the Ezek fight,
oh my god,
and this past bat, like
boys spent.
Callister is looking rough,
Flirting with disaster.
But still cute.
Kaz, did you want to anything?
I'll so Kaz is standing just standing over the corpse of Lady Wachter, and I mean, you know, mechanically speaking, she still has 3 rounds of rage in her. So I think I like to think of Kaz as when she has rage left over, she has to sort of like work it out of her body a little bit. So she's just standing there over the corpse of Lady Wachter, just like so much tension in her arms and shoulders, and like in this like horse stance. And she just takes the blood spear of Kavan and just like 3 times. Just
No, Callister comes over.
just
Callister,
the butt of it, just the butt of the
no,
spear.
Callister comes over. Callister comes over.
Hang on.
She
hold
just-
on, hold on.
She just lets out
We
like
can't let other
3
people-
She's not trying to break the spear. It's just like it's this thing where she just like rings out a sound on the cobblestones with the butt of the spear, and then she just like lets out a roar. She
Okay.
just like she screams, and she's holding the spear in her hands, and then just kneels
Like a
and lays it across her thighs and just starts taking deep breaths. Because that was the most in a long time that she has tried to dip into the anger that is in her heritage. She said a prayer to Grumsh for the first time in a long time.
And you held the rage longer than I think you ever have.
Also true, yeah.
And doing that.
Did you burn more than one, Kaz?
No, it was my second to last one of the day, but I don't think I went.
But you made it.
I went 7 rounds
Yeah.
in rage.
And it lasts,
I don't
what,
think
10?
10. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone.
It's
more
long.
than, like 5.
Remind us of that badass chant.
Oh, what did she say? Karg Hawk, she said,
Yes.
which is
God.
which is the it's the orc word for revenge, and it's the first, and it's always like the first and last word of
Just have
any
to wait
prayer.
till the
to
next
Grumsh.
comment to see it. You know what I'm saying?
Badass.
So, Callister would have thought that you were gonna
Break the spear.
desecrate the body.
Oh.
No, Callister would have thought that you were gonna desecrate the body.
No.
And so the second he saw you looking at her, he would have like ran over and put himself between. But I don't think he would have even noticed.
I don't think I
anything
would have.
rage.
Yeah. If
And
you
then
would've
like
done
you
that-
banging the spirit, he would have just been saying between you and Wachter, and then would have been like,
Yeah. If you had done that, she wouldn't have even noticed.
Okay. So you pass the healing potion off to Danica, who takes it in trembling hands. She's trying to like unstop her the lid as tears are streaming down her face. And Dimitri just reaches out and like puts his hands around her to steady, and then together they get the stopper out and bring it over to Erwin, who, to describe him, he was struck with that sort of black lightning that Lady Wachter and her cultists were casting out, and he looks pretty unblemished. There's no blood or anything, except for his eyes, which were seemingly like blown out by the force of the spell. So he just has like these dark like crater marks where his eyes used to be. And with trembling hands, both of them, Dimitri lifts up his head and Danica pours it down his throat, and then puts the bottle to the side, and they both just stand, or just sit there, soundlessly, waiting, hoping. Does anybody want to do anything?
I think Drogar from the top of the hill will start making his way down. We'll see that everybody's gathered around. And this is not the first time that Drogar has seen a body on the brink. And I think that he wants to make a medicine check to see if it's worth saving.
you can try.
That is a 26.
You've seen this sort of magic used before. It's impossible to tell. With this kind of magic, it attacks its victim's spirit more than their body. So it's really up to Erwin.
I feel confident.
So Drogar is going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make his way down. And he's going to kneel at the head of Erwin. So Danica's on one side, Dimitri's on the other. He's going to put his hands on their shoulders. And he's going to look them in the eyes and he's going to go, Erwin needs all of us right now. He's going to put his hands gently on the sides of his head. He's going to do 2 things. 1, he's going to cast Cure Wounds.
Okay.
And 2, he's going to cast Bless on any saves that Erwin is going to make.
Seeing this happen too, like Artemis.
So on any saving throw that Erwin is going to make, if he needs to survive, he will get a D4 on that saving throw. Cool.
While this is happening too, even though Artemis doesn't have any
Hold on,
healing,
Artemis, sorry.
healing talent, well, he's just going to kneel down and also put his hand on Erwin,
Great.
just like and Dimitri or whoever else is close to him. He'll also
Yeah, and
put his hand.
I think Drogar will make an eye at like Winnie and an eye at Kaz.
Cass doesn't know. She's still just like,
Yeah, she's like.
she's still like kind of shaking.
So that's max healing. That's 1d8. So it's 8 plus 3, so that's 11 points of healing.
All right. And yeah, Winnie, as you stand sort of silently, yeah, the eraser dust moves silently and gently like a blanket, and just kind of makes its way, kind of covering Erwin like a shroud, like a blanket.
Do we roll for that?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
I'll just make sure.
Let's see what happens.
And then is Pasha still like laying across Sasha? I believe.
Sure, yeah.
So they're kind of making their way out.
Yeah, all sort of congregating here around Erwin.
That's 10 from the vulnerabilities.
18 total back to me.
Oh, no. 11 from me.
11, okay, so 1, great. And glass. So you all just kind of stand there silently for a little bit. The rain continues to fall, drenching your shoulders and hair. Danica, refusing to tear her eyes away from Erwin, she says,
Don't fly away, my love. You made a promise. You can't fly away before me. Papa. Papa, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
The quiet of the night kind of settles around. Another raven flies down, transforming in midair, stopping. And they kind of make Haynes' way over slowly. A stoic expression on his face as he looks down on his last remaining son. He can't speak. He's never been at a loss for words before.
Oh, fuck! That hurt! Oh, that hurt so bad!
It's alright, breathe, my dear friend. Deep breaths.
Oh!
Breathe.
Oh, what happened? Who turned off the lights?
Easy now, friend. Easy now. We are here.
What happened? Where am I? What? Who?
Danica gives him a slap.
You beautiful idiot!
And she just kind of falls on him and begins to weep.
And she goes, oh, it's okay. It's all right, my love. You can't get rid of me that easy.
The tension notably eases. Dimitri, though, as his father stands up and sort of backs away a little bit. Did you want to do anything over by Lady Wachter, Callister?
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump over there.
Callister is feeling a mix of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't know fully what was at stake, but something in him knew something was coming for Kaz, and so he's happy that he was able to save his friend and fell this enemy, but taking the life of. He's thinking a lot about home right now, and what he left back at home, and so he walks over to the Lady Wachter and lets Kaz do her thing, and he pulls out his blade, and he gently lifts her head, and with a quick swipe, he cuts off one tip of the bolt, and then gently lifts her head and pulls it out. Places it down, and then he puts the blade on her chest and starts murmuring a prayer to himself. And he begins to not do a prayer for the soul because he knows it's useless, but he's feeling very at a loss. And instead of demanding for Joel do something, he asks for some guidance from it.
From Fortwell.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say?
I say, there are no right choices in war. And death is even more complicated, particularly in this land we find ourselves in. I haven't been able to do my purpose in quite some time here. So what do I do?
You hear the soft padding of feet coming up behind you in the midst of your prayer. And as you sort of turn to look over your shoulder, you see Sasha padding over to you with Pasha up on her back. And Pasha kind of slides off of Sasha's back and kind of like half crawls, half rolls over to you. And he just, still from a few feet back, he just looks up at you with his big bright green eye and says, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, I'm okay. Just did something I wish I didn't have to do.
You have to do that. Do you have to do that a lot?
Not usually. Usually I'm a little more slick. Usually I squeak by. But not this time.
Well, if you did something you had to do that you didn't want to do, maybe now you could do something you do want to do. What do you want to do?
Have you ever got your mind set on a goal that was worth it, but it's so far in the distance that you're not paying attention to what you're doing now, and you just wreak havoc?
I wreaked havoc for someone else's goal.
Mm-hmm. So this lady here,
Mm-hmm.
she was just in love deeply. And Kasle looks around, and she did all this to try to get her love back. All of this. So if I could do something right now, I want to find a way to have her love back wherever they go off after this. And I used to be able to do that, but I can't do it here.
You want to bring them back together.
Send them off.
Okay, I'll help. How do we do that?
What I usually do is, have you heard of Apollo? So, in Callister means that. So where I'm from, it's a land where the sun actually shines.
What's that like?
It's beautiful.
I bet it is.
It's warm. You ever been by a fire?
Mm-hmm.
You know that feeling you get when you're by the fire and you're nice and warm?
Mm-hmm.
But even while you're by the fire, the second you get up and leave it, you're going to be cold. When the sun shines, wherever you go, you're warm. Whatever you do, you're warm. There's nothing you can do to get away from it.
That sounds nice.
It's really nice. And so Paulo, like, you know how you look up to Drogar or Artemis?
Mm-hmm.
I look up to Apollo, and he sings such beautiful songs, like so much light.
Well, I don't know this fella. But if he's half as good as any of you, then he seems alright to me.
And so what I usually do is I'll pray to Apollo, and I pray to Apollo, and then it's up to the chap that's lying spread out to decide what they want to do.
Well, she came here. She wanted to be here. What if we buried her here? Then she could have it.
You're wise, Pasha. You're very wise.
I know. There's not much else to do in a cage but become wise.
Yeah.
Or go crazy, but that didn't seem as much fun. I'll help you. Come here. And he takes your hand. Let's jump back to. And actually, now at this point,
Lightning strikes Cass.
no.
Zombies turn.
Not again!
Powerful steps, cuz.
Yes.
As soon as Erwin, stands up and they're hugging, Drogar goes, yes! And he kind of pats Erwin on the back, and suddenly, Winnie, make a perception check.
Okay. I'm already perceiving you. You know I'm watching you.
When he sees all.
Don't listen to that set I'm watching you. Does 11.
Perfect. You see his eyes roll back into his head,
Oh my God.
and he
I
passes.
do not. I run over to you and I fall down on my knees next to you and go like this, and all the scattered eraser dust that was kind of left behind when I cast Balm of Peace. And I cast my last spell of the day, doing Cure Wounds on you.
So you notice him doing that you heal him, but he, even with his health, sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Even at above 3/4 health, you can hear you can hear heavy wheezing, and you see, and his body looks old, and it's the same similar thing you saw after he came as God, and you found him in the past, in the stable next to Desi, all the
After he lost all your
children.
spells. Yeah.
And you see, you can sense that there's no magic in him, and he's just the brink.
Which is Cure Wounds.
1d8 plus your spellcasting modifier.
6. I take 6 back, and I'm just sitting there. And now that was my last spell of the day, if you were laying like this, I'd just lay it down,
Oh.
right up under your arm, and just lay there and look up at the sky.
Oh.
And Drogar just kind of brings his arm up and it kind of wraps over you. Yeah. And he's just
Grunge.
Like a
We Gucci, man.
As you, so you two adorably lying on the ground. Team Cleric.
Team beat the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
we're just regular guys now.
We are just regular people. just you and me, Winnie.
Danica says to Erwin. Erwin, it is an auspicious day, my love. Do you know who is here? Aaron says.
I do not trust the hope, my love.
And she looks up across the way. And at Dimitri, who is looking up like he's about to throw up. He's very pale, and you've never quite seen. He's always, carried some sense of self-assurance, but, he's standing over there, one hand on his elbow, just kind of rubbing his arm. He looks 10 years old, And Danica says, yeah.
Our baby boy has come back.
What does he look like?
Never see him?
He is as beautiful as the day he was born.
And she holds out her hand.
Come, my son.
You are never leaving again. Dimitri,
But I am so...
and Danica just...
Shut up and hug.
No words.
And he goes over and the three of them sort of just collapse into a pile, a Martikov pile. And cry.
This is merciful for that.
Mm-hmm.
My last thing that I can do is just as we're nuggling, and then look over there. I'm gonna just cast Emboldening Bond on the three.
No.
My last thing
Yeah.
that I can do. So I'll send Emboldening Bond over to kind of
On the three of them?
Mm-hmm.
They hug all the tighter. And as the eraser dust sort of begins to swirl around them, it begins to react in a way that not even you expected, Winnie. As your magic comes into contact with these people who you have gotten to know so very well over your time here, the eraser dust begins to sort of fractal out, and it begins to take the shape of feathers floating in the air like a halo around them, just gently. Delicately.
Drogar kind of just does one of these. So
Yeah.
to see what's going on, and he just kind of goes.
You know, Winnie, light always prevails. Even when you cannot see the sky, even when the sun is not shining, it is always just behind the clouds.
I'm starting to believe you.
Artemis!
Chuck. And now I'll kneel down and kind of grab his hand. Yes, old friend.
I need a bed. So does the little one.
Come on, old soldier. Your fight's not over yet. And
Could it be? Are you sure? Are you positive?
quite sure. Let's get those old bones to bed.
Oh, preferably to the one up the hill there.